Okay, so number 5, figure is not trying to scale. We don't care. So they got this kind of weird looking, it's like a U shape kind of thing. It's a weird box. And they want us to find the volume of the box. Like, so how much space is inside of that box? Like if you wanted to fill up that box, what's the total volume inside of that box? Well, there's a few ways you could do this problem. What I believe to be the easiest way is to do it by subtraction. In other words, I'm going to take the whole entire box, pretending it's all filled in, one whole box like that. Find the whole volume as if it was all filled in. And then I'm going to subtract out this hole right here. I'm going to subtract that out. Does that make sense? So here's the plan. So it's the whole, it's the volume of the filled in entire, I'll just call it entire box. Like as if the whole box was all there, minus the whole. That makes kind of like, like the donut problems. I keep calling it like subtracting the whole out of the middle of the donut. That's basically how I'm going to do this problem. I think this is about the easiest way to do it. Just find the entire shape as if the box was completely filled in and didn't have any holes at all. And then subtract out the hole. Take the hole out of the donut. What you have left is what you have left. So, all right, let's try to do that. Well, how am I going to do that? Well, these are both rectangular prisms. Do you see that? Right, a box is a rectangular prism. Let's go look for a second at the notes and the prism formulas. Here they are. So remember how we find the volume of a prism? It's base times height, where b is the area of the base. So for example, well, here's a rectangular prism. See, a rectangular prism, it's got a rectangle on the ground, a rectangle on the top, height in between. That's what we mean by prism, by the way. It's any shape that has the same shape on the bottom and the top, like triangle, bottom and top, straight sides in between. That's called a triangular prism. Or a pentagon, top and bottom, straight sides in between. That's called a pentagonal prism, etc. So any shape, any three-dimensional shape that has the exact kind of shape, same shape, top and bottom, with straight sides in between, that's called a prism. If it's got a top and bottom triangle, it's a triangular prism. If it's got a top and bottom rectangle, it's a rectangular prism, etc. Well, that's what a box is. See how this is a box. A box is technically called a rectangular prism. Well, how do you find the volume of a rectangular prism? Well, look at this big Rubik's Cube thing. This is a perfect example. If you find out how much is in one layer, right? There's 20 cubes in a layer because it's 4 by 5. So you find out how much is in one layer, then you multiply by how many layers high it is, the height. So you find one layer, which we call the base, top, bottom, whatever, all the layers are the same. Find one layer, find the area of one layer, 20 cubes in one layer, times 4 layers height, right? 4 layers high of 20 cubes in every layer is 80 cubes. That makes sense, doesn't it? That's how you fill up a box, a prism. You just find out how much is in the base or the top, whatever, they're all the same, one layer, and multiply by the height. So that's what we have to do here. We have to say, okay, so what is the area of the base? Find out how much is in the ground floor times the height. It's going to fill it up to the height. Well, let's go draw that. So I'm going to do that. Let me draw the base here. I got a little sloppy in those last two, didn't it? Getting to be caring a little bit more about how it looks. There we go. All right. So there's the ground floor. That's the base. Let me clarify that. Symbol lines. So that's the base, isn't it? That's the ground floor of that box. So what's the area of that base? Well, it's a rectangle. It's length times width. This is the width. This is the length. 8 times 17 times the height. What's the height? Well, it's right here. This is the height. Height is 7. Right? That's how tall that box is. Times 7. So multiply those together. And I'm getting 952. So that's if that box was entirely filled in. Right? Filled in volume of the entire box. If it went all the way to the top, but it doesn't, it has a hole. So now we have to subtract the hole. Okay, so what shape is the hole? Well, it's another box shape, isn't it? The hole is also a little box. It's also a rectangular prism, meaning a box. So it's commonly called a box. So it's a rectangular prism. The hole is a rectangular prism. So let me go draw it to be clear with you. There, to there, to there, to there. That's the base of that thing, isn't it? Let me try to fill it in for clarity. Okay, so there is the base of the hole. So again, how do you find the volume of a prism, a box, a rectangular prism? You got to take the area of the base times the height, right? That's how you fill up a prism. So how are we going to do that? Well, what's the area of the base? So the base is the width of the base is right here. It's the 15, isn't it? That's from there to there is 15. What's the length? Well, it's the same as the length was before. That hasn't changed. The length there is 8, isn't it? It's that 8. So that rectangle is 15 by 8. Times, and then what's the height? What's the height? Can you see it? It's right here. See the height? That's the height. I'll say that's the height of the hole. It's 5. That's the height of the hole, isn't it? So that the hole in the box is itself a box-shaped hole. And the area it's a prism, a rectangular prism, what we commonly call a box. And so you got to take the area of the base, which is 15 by 8, and multiply by the height, which is 5. And so when you do all that, I'll do that myself, I'm getting 600. So if you subtract those guys, so that'll be the volume. So the volume is 352. Subtract those, you get 352. So we got it. We did it by subtraction. So we took the entire filled in volume, if the box was completely filled in, which is just area of the base, ground floor, times the height. So it's length times width, 17 times 8 times the height of 7, got 952. Then we subtracted out the hole, which is itself a box. The box-shaped hole, a rectangular prism, which is, again, area of the base, which is 15 by 8, times the height, which is 5. So there we go, by subtraction. I think that's the easiest way.